Yo, 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 yo. Guys, what's up, man? Welcome back. Okay, so I got a video request on X. TWE Charts, guys, on Twitter, X. And yeah, I want to make this video because I posted something that is pretty freaking cool, dude. All right, so AMC cycle POI is coming up. For those that know how the POI works, cycle analysis, every 62 days we track a volatility zone in case the price starts to surge, right? We know that inside the POI zone we experience volatility when we have right now is 6 out of 5, so it's a pretty good correlation with the cycle inside the POI. And yeah, this video is about cycle analysis, so we're going to be comparing another stock. It's Mara, man. So Mara, and this correlation I'm using the all-in-one indicator. Okay, so the way this works, we have a percent change of the entire, basically a good bit of stocks. I got 150, and right now I only have one up. So if I put them all together, okay, one by one, we'll have 150 here. So you can see it's very saturated when everything comes together. And this measures the rate of change over a selected period of time. I'm using 250 bars to better digest this information. So for those similar that are familiar with like the Fourier transform, where you get a pattern that has a lot of data points, it basically smooths it out, right? Make sure that we have a good cycle and we're able to measure that cycle. So this indicator is a little bit different in that it's able to normalize the data here so that I don't have to look at and compare stocks based on their price, because then at that point I'm not able to see what's going on. So with this is a very nice tool to see what stocks relative to their price have done, crazy things like dump or pump, and then you're able to kind of compare those two between each other in different times. So we're going to be using Mara for this because I think it has it's one of the highest correlations right now with AMC. Watch this. If you look at this number up here on AMC, negative 93% right now on the daily, the last 250 bars. That's more than days, guys, because we are in 250 bars. Does not take into account the weekends or any off days in the market. Let's take a look at the structure of AMC right here on all-in-one. So AMC down negative 93%. And if we take everything else out, we're going to actually be looking at Mara's. Mara's in blue. I'm going to take everything else out. And then I'll talk about why this is pretty like crazy going into the POI, because it's lining up to a T, man. And obviously we can't take the bars pattern of an indicator, so we do have to outline it, right? We have to outline it and then compare it based on the levels. So I've already done that. I actually have a little group here that's comparing both. And, well, I don't have the outline. I don't know what happened to the outline here. But let's go ahead and just, so you guys can see how freaking accurate this is. All right, in time, guys, because time is very important. All right, so here's our ugly drawing. We're going to bring this right all the way over here to Mara. And now we can see that the levels here, based on the rate of change, are very similar, right? We got the negative 10, comes all the way down. And in time on the drop, we're looking at on the drops here and then going into the next run up here. Okay, this takes about 220 days, all right, 151 bars on both. So these are very similar in correlation and in time. Apart from this point on, we're not tracking anything here, okay? If we look at the entire chart, okay, that is where data starts to do something else. And this is very normal when tracking, patterns in the market, anything to do with the cycle correlation analysis approach, is that that at some point at the algorithm does start to stray away and do something else. But when you catch the sequence doing its thing, that is where it becomes very relevant. And what I could see here based on the levels here that we're tracking, which are pretty much the same, guys. -10, then down to -35. Okay, same thing that Mara did over here. And then it consolidates back down into the -95% range, which is the same thing AMC has done. What makes this special here is not only the time, but the fact that most stocks don't do this unless they're stocks that are have extreme volatility and pump a lot. And you're not really going to get this with any any stock in the market. There's only a select few that have dumped the way that AMC has. And then this is where you got to look at fundamentals and everything else, right? Mara back here, the way it dumped came back down the same range, and then it pumped back up, and then eventually it came up to all-time highs after that. But that that takes some time because this entire phase here is accumulation. Now, when you look at it on the pump and dump, like this entire section here, this is where it gets pretty crazy because you bring this right over here on AMC, and it's also, right, AMC pumped a lot more, right? We're not talking about Mara in 2021. We're talking about Mara in 2018. So it pumped, dumped the same way, and then you can see it starts climbing back up going into April time. So it's possible that in this specific sequence that we're tracking here, which is 220 days, okay, it's following this section of the cycle, right? So the structure, guys, and the time on these run-ups, this indicator is pretty good at spotting these volatility zones in the market because we are measuring 250 days here. And somebody commented on the post saying like, yo, that does not look like the Mara chart, because it's not. This is the rate of change chart of Mara, which is completely different, and it's normalizing both charts together so we can see them better back to back. All right. So here's the crazy part, guys. We have the POI coming up, and then Mara here is expecting, okay, based on this sequence here, we have Mara calling for some upside, right? So the upside here is pretty extreme. It goes all the way up to that 50, past that 50 mark. Now, this is going to be, and this changes, right? But every time the 250-day rolls over, okay, this is recalculated. That's how the entire chart works. And based on this right here, if this starts to climb back up into that territory, I mean, this would be a pretty hefty run to the upside. But it all goes back to, that video we talked about on the live, where if you take that resistance trend line, crossing through the $8 range is very crucial for AMC to see, more upside going into the following months. Once we cross that level, things are going to be a lot more bullish, in my opinion. But right now, what needs to happen is we need to retest that level and work our way up to reestablish a bullish trend and start stepping on the way up. But so far, guys, based on this is just another piece to the puzzle. Okay, on the video, the live video that I posted 2 days ago, covers about 4 or 5 things. Okay, that also talk about not only this, this indicator here, and there's another correlation with NVAX. It's very similar as well, but it does talk about a few other things that are pretty relevant to, to this entire bullish thesis here on this next POI. Things are looking pretty good, guys. One more thing, okay, but if you overlay everything together, and I'm missing a few stocks up here, but if you overlay everything together, guess what stock is at the bottom? Just guess, man. Guess what stock is at the bottom? AMC. And I think there might be one other stock, BNGO. These two are moving pretty closely together, but even BNGO has had more upside here in the last couple months than AMC. Like, it just reached these lows. Like, it's like tied with AMC down here. That 150 stocks right here, and AMC is all the way at the bottom. So, one of the things that I look at in the markets is stocks that have been beat down, that are oversold or overbought, right? Either direction. But this is another thing, guys. Like, how much time is this going to spend down here before breaking back up? if the bullish thesis holds and the fundamentals are good, there's no reason why AMC should be trading down here. There have been other stocks in this section here. You can see in blue. This was Nikola last year. Nikola had a nice little run to the upside. Okay, we also have CGC, which had some nice upside as well, and they were trading in this range as well. So similar to Mara. Now, these don't have the same correlation as far as time goes, but they also go down to that 95% range. You can see there's very few stocks that come down there, but the ones that do have shown some pretty nice opportunity, right, for the stock to do its thing and turn around. So we'll see here, but the POI that I am tracking starts the 7th, okay, and that 13-day window is going to last, I believe, until about the 23rd of the month here. So we'll see what happens, but, I mean, dude, oversold like crazy. And if we look at the chart right here as well, just a few other things, guys, but we do have, let's bring this back over here. Here it is. All right, we have the macro resistance trend line on AME. You can see all these other things over here. Okay, here's the POI window. If we take a look at the daily chart, okay, and I'm using the 100-bar length here, so we can, the different lengths are going to show you different things. So the length that I'm using here, and the common lengths I use, 10, 50, 100, and then 250. But the 100-day is showing us this pattern right here, this inverse arc setup, which is a rounding bottom, translates to that. You can see that it trades sideways, comes back into that first level, and then we have upside. So right now, AMC is just trading in this range, and it's getting very close to crossing into that territory, which is normally bullish, right? We cross in, it's normally bullish. We haven't done that since... Here's another time I did that. It crosses in, goes back up. Because this was an inverse POI, makes sense that this is a fake out. So it comes back in, and then it comes all the way back down until we enter on this POI right here in September. Okay, that was a POI. It goes up about 40%, and then it hits resistance in November. So if we're expecting this to hit resistance on this POI window around that $8 range, it doesn't mean that it's going to come down there. But it does mean that, that's resistance, right? So if it's going to come down on resistance, that kind of makes sense. If it crosses resistance, I've talked about the ripple effect, okay? The ripple effect is when there's just too many longs and or too many shorts, and, if this triggers an event where it keeps going, okay, the upside is, well, it can go anywhere from there, but AMC is extremely oversold, man. Would not be surprised if on this POI we see some upside. So, as always, guys, never financial advice. Just another lens, right? Perspective in the markets using this approach. And it's honestly been really nice to do this approach here, not only with AMC, but the entire market and looking at other stocks. If you go on the live, it talks about that a little bit more. There's like 5 stocks that we talk about using this approach. Paramount, one that just happened. We were tracking a POI this week, and the thing starts to go up based on a catalyst, based on news, and it's using the same approach, guys, the cycle. Also, Save, same thing. We're using Upstart for a pattern reference. Right now, it's been pretty accurate. So take a look at that video. We'll talk a little bit more about that, and if you want more info, click the link below. Awesome, guys. See you on the next stream.